You know they never really figured out what happened to him, right? I frowned. I read he took his own life. She scoffed. That's what they said. But no note. No warning. Just gone. Found him cold in his bed like he'd drifted off and never came back. My throat tightened. Do you know where he lived? She pointed across the street, to the very building I now called home. 3rd floor. End of the hall. My skin prickled. She narrowed her eyes. Wait, you live there now? I nodded slowly. She crossed herself. They say that apartment never stays rented. People don't last long in it. Cold spots. Whispers. One girl swore her bedsheets moved on their own. Another said she woke up every night feeling someone watching her. Gave me chills when I heard it. You ask me? He didn't leave. I wanted to scream. To cry. To laugh. All at once. Because they were right. He hadn't left. I returned home with a million thoughts pressing down on me. The apartment felt different now. Not haunted. Alive. As if the walls were breathing. As if they knew I was close to uncovering something sacred. That night, I didn't light a candle. I didn't speak. I just lay in bed and waited. And he came. Soft as a sigh. The bed shifted. The air warmed. His presence enveloped me like fog. Elijah, I whispered. A hush fell over the room. I know who you are now. The air shivered. His fingers, unseen but unmistakable, brushed my face. I closed my eyes, tears slipping free. I'm going to find out what really happened to you. And then I heard it. For the first time, not in a dream. His voice. Please, don't forget me. It echoed, not in my ears, but in my mind. Like a thought planted deep. Then he was gone. Not warmth. Not presence. Just gone. And I was left with a name, a whisper, and a promise. Over the next few days, I dug deeper. I found old message boards where fans posted about Elijah's music. His lyrics. His last recorded track, a song called Waking Alone. I listened to it in the dark. His voice was deep, aching, full of longing. The lyrics pierced me like knives. I sleep through the silence / I wake in your name. The night holds me closer / but it's never the same. I loved you in shadow / I loved you in flame. But morning keeps stealing / the face that I claim. I wept. It felt like a message. Like the last thing he ever wanted to say. Hidden in melody. Then came the letter. Slipped under my door. No return address. Just my name scrawled in shaky pen. Inside was a single sentence. You're not the first he's touched. I stared at the words, my chest tightening. What did it mean? Who sent it? I rushed to the hallway. No one. No footsteps. No sound. Only the still air pressing close. I reread the letter again and again. And for the first time since Elijah entered my life, I felt afraid. Back inside, I stared at the walls, the windows, the mirror with the long crack. Everything felt wrong. Like I'd peeled back too many layers. Like something was watching. I clutched the letter and whispered his name. Elijah, was there someone else? The room was quiet. But the warmth didn't return. Not that night. Not the next. And in my dreams, I no longer saw him. I saw the hallway again. But this time, it wasn't empty. A girl stood at the far end. She looked like me. Only her eyes were hollow. And she was weeping. Chapter 4, He was never gone. The days began to blur. Morning and night twisted into one long ache. I no longer cared about the ticking of the clock, or the sunlight that occasionally spilled through the cracked blinds. What mattered was the silence. The space beside me in bed that had grown cold again. The absence of the warmth that once held me like a secret. I called out for him every night. Whispered his name into my pillow until my voice went raw. But Elijah didn't come. It felt like grieving all over again, for someone I never truly had. But worse this time. Because now I knew he was real. I had heard his voice. Felt his touch. Loved him through the veil. And now, he had vanished again, leaving behind only questions and the hollow echo of that strange letter, "You're not the first he's touched." That sentence crawled through my thoughts like rot. It wasn't the jealousy that haunted me, it was the fear. Fear that what I'd felt with him was not as rare as I believed. That maybe this was something Elijah had done before, reached across to someone else. Loved someone else. Or worse, taken someone else. I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't. But every time I looked in the mirror and saw my own tired eyes, I wondered, was I becoming like her, the girl in my dream? The one who looked like me, but with tears in her hollow face? Was she a memory? A warning? I needed answers. Real ones. So I went back to the archives. Buried in the city library's dusty basement, I searched microfilm records, old tenant logs, forgotten news clippings. And there, buried under 13 years of silence, I found her. Isabel Merrick. Tenant of apartment 3C. Moved in 2013. Left 2 months later under unexplained mental distress. The article was brief, more of a police incident note than a report. She had called the authorities several times claiming a man was sleeping next to her every night. They found no evidence. But she insisted. Said he whispered to her. Said she dreamed of him. Said he told her he loved her. My hands trembled as I read. It was the same. Exactly the same. But Isabel didn't stay. She broke her lease. Moved away. Disappeared. And I knew, in my chest, that she was the girl I saw in my dream. The hollow one. The broken one. And maybe now, I was becoming her that night. I stood in the middle of the apartment and screamed. Elijah! What are you doing to me? Why won't you come back? My voice cracked into the still air. I found your name. I remembered you. I loved you. Why did you leave? No answer. Only the flicker of a single candle trembling in the corner of the room. I sank to the floor, breath shaky, arms wrapped around my knees. I cried harder than I had in years. Not for Elijah. But for myself. Because maybe I had imagined it all. Maybe the warmth in my bed had never truly been him. Maybe I had fallen in love with a ghost that didn't love me back. But then. A sound. Not a whisper. A step. Soft. Deliberate. Behind me. I froze. The candle's flame stilled. My heart beat like thunder in my ears. Slowly, I turned. And for the first time since all of this began, I saw him. Not in a dream. Not in the corner of my eye. Not in a haze of sleep. I saw Elijah Ward standing in my apartment. Exactly as I'd seen in his photo, tall, dark hair falling over one brow, jaw tense, eyes gray and hollow, but beautiful. So painfully beautiful. He didn't speak. He just stood there, staring at me like he'd been holding his breath for centuries. I rose to my feet slowly, afraid he might vanish if I blinked. Elijah? I whispered. He took a step forward. Then another. The air shifted with him. He didn't shimmer. He didn't float. He walked. Like a man. Like a memory. I'm sorry, he said finally, his voice low, thick with pain. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to disappear. My throat tightened. Then why did you? He looked away. Shadows crawled across his face as the candle flickered again. Because they found me. The ones who keep the forgotten. My stomach turned. Who? He took another step. He was close now. I could feel his energy, like heat without flame. My skin tingled, hairs rising on my arms. There are things that live in the space between death and peace, he said slowly. They wait for souls who die with pain, with regret. If no one remembers you, if no one speaks your name, they come. They pull you into silence. Into nothing. I trembled. But I remembered you. I said your name. He looked at me then, really looked, and I saw something in his eyes I had never seen in anyone before. Worship. You saved me, he whispered. You called me back. And in that moment, all the fear, all the questions, all the madness faded. Because I didn't care anymore. I didn't care what he was, or why he was still here. I just knew he was. And I loved him. He stepped closer, raising a hand to my cheek, but didn't touch. I shouldn't be here, he said. It's wrong. I'm not alive. And the longer I stay, the more they'll try to take me again. Or worse, take you. I reached for his hand. And this time I felt it. Solid. Warm. Real. I don't care, I whispered. You're here now. That's all I need. He looked at our hands like they were something sacred. Like he'd forgotten what it meant to be held. I'm afraid, he confessed. So am I. Then, without another word, he pulled me into his arms. And the world melted away. We spent the night like that, curled on the bed, tangled in warmth and silence. He didn't sleep. Ghosts don't sleep. But he held me. And I didn't dream. Because he was real now. Beside me. Not a whisper. Not a shadow. Him. I woke to sunlight the next morning, and for a moment, I believed he might still be there. But the bed was empty. Only a folded blanket remained on his side. And a note. Don't follow the hallway. Promise me. Don't open that door. I didn't understand what it meant. Not then. But I would. Very soon. Because that night, I woke to the sound of crying. A woman. Soft. Broken. From the closet. And when I opened the door, there was a hallway that hadn't been there before. Long, endless. Dark. And in the distance, a shadow waiting. Chapter 5, The Last Night. The hallway shouldn't have been there. Closets aren't supposed to lead into other worlds. They're meant to hold coats, forgotten boxes, maybe dust and cobwebs, not corridors that stretch into darkness. But there it was. Waiting. Silent. Breathing. My heart thudded violently in my chest as I stood at the threshold, one hand gripping the doorframe like it might anchor me to reality. I didn't step in. Not yet. I just listened. And the crying continued, soft, female, broken. Echoing from far down the endless hall. I wanted to believe it was a dream. A cruel trick of my mind. But deep down, I knew better. This was the place Elijah warned me about. The hallway he told me not to follow. The one that led to them, the shadows that live between death and peace, feeding on the forgotten. The ones that tried to take him. The ones that would take me too, if I walked too far. But curiosity is louder than fear when you love someone. And I loved him. Too much. Enough to risk everything to understand what he couldn't say. I took one step inside. Then another. The floor beneath my feet was impossibly smooth. No creak, no cold. Just silence. And the deeper I walked, the more the apartment behind me seemed to fade. Like it never existed. Like my entire world was unraveling, thread by thread, the moment I crossed that invisible line. The crying grew louder. Choked. Ragged. It echoed through the corridor as if bouncing between walls that weren't really there. I couldn't tell how long I walked, minutes, hours, forever. Time had no meaning here. Only the weight in my chest guided me, the knowledge that somewhere beyond this dark stretch of nothing, Elijah waited. Then I saw her. The girl from my dreams. She was sitting against the far wall, knees pulled to her chest, head bowed. Her white nightgown clung to her like it had been soaked in memory. Her long, tangled hair veiled her face. She looked up slowly as I approached. And she was me. Not exactly. Not perfectly. But close enough. Same frame. Same sad eyes. Same pain. But her face was hollow, drained of hope. Like she'd spent years here, trapped in this hall with no door, no end, no escape. You saw him too. Her lips barely moved. He loved me. Just like he loves you. But I stayed too long. My chest tightened. What happened to you? I stopped a few feet away. Isabel? I whispered. She nodded without a word. She looked down at her hands, transparent now, fading in and out like smoke. I followed the hallway. I tried to keep him. I thought I could hold on to him if I just stayed. Tears burned my eyes. Where is he now? She looked past me, and I turned. He was standing at the very end of the corridor, half submerged in shadow, just like the first time I saw him in my dream. Elijah, I breathed. He stepped forward slowly, pain etched into every part of him. You weren't supposed to come here. His voice sounded hollow now, distant. Not angry. Not even afraid. Just tired. I took a step toward him. I had to. You disappeared. I needed to find you. He shook his head. You already did. That was enough. My voice cracked. But I love you. He smiled sadly, a smile that broke me. And I love you. But I'm not supposed to be here. I never was. I stayed because you remembered me. Because you said my name. But I don't belong with the living. Behind him, the shadows gathered. Tall, twisting things without form. Their movements were unnatural, like wind through water. They didn't speak, but I felt them. Calling. Demanding. They wanted him back. And now they wanted me too. Elijah, come with me, I begged. We can go. We can find a way. You don't have to disappear again. He reached out. Our fingers touched. And then his hand began to dissolve into smoke. I'm already gone, he whispered. You were the only warmth I've felt in years. You made me real again. But if I stay now, they'll take you. My tears fell freely now, running hot down my cheeks. I shook my head over and over, refusing to let go. Don't leave me. I never really came back. The corridor began to darken, the shadows creeping closer. He leaned in, one last time, and pressed his lips to mine. It was the softest kiss I'd ever known. The gentlest goodbye. Then he stepped backward, into the dark. And vanished. The hallway began to collapse. Walls folding in. Air growing thick. I turned to run. But Isabel was still there. She reached for me with ghost-like hands, her voice distant and soft. Don't make the same mistake. Let him go. I closed my eyes. And screamed. When I woke up, I was on the floor of my apartment. Alone. The closet door was open again, but the hallway was gone. Just wood and dust and silence. No Elijah. No shadows. No cries. Just the hum of the radiator and the fading echo of a kiss that no longer existed. Days passed. I didn't hear his voice again. Didn't feel the warmth in the bed. Didn't dream of his arms around me or his voice whispering my name. He was gone. Really gone. And this time I didn't try to call him back. Because I understood. He was never mine to keep. He came to me because I remembered. Because I opened the door. And when it was time, I helped him close it. The apartment is quiet now. Still. I've repainted the walls. Hung new curtains. Started playing Elijah's music in the background as I cook, as I sleep, as I breathe. Because he may not be beside me anymore. But I will always remember him. And maybe that's all a ghost ever really needed. Not saving. Not resurrection. Just someone to remember they lived. Someone to say, you were here. You mattered. You were loved.